So how it feels to hear her talk about me that way is a little bit, I'm just taken aback a little bit, just sort of like I had no idea at all that this was her reaction to me. So it's quite something to hear. I mean, I was kind of trying to create a distraction on stage in case I screwed up, so
I don't recall you screwing up.
Tried to be turned out as best I could be, so I had at least something working if the brain didn't work that day. But but anyway, I mean, that was fun. It was fun for me to do that as well, that aspect. But no, I just had no idea that you felt that way. So
I most certainly did. And I mean, I kind of kept it to myself, but I mean, I admire people usually from a distance. Mm-hmm. And I've always had this admiration for Maria. And I actually had no idea that back then you were already composing. I didn't find out until recently that she was composing, and I said, oh my gosh, Maria Thompson Corley is composing. Let me find out what this is. So I contacted you, as you recall, and you sent me some of your pieces, and I read through them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do something with these. These need to be heard. I want to sing these, and I feel like they fit me like a glove, so to speak. I really can identify with her style of writing, and I love the way she sets the spirituals. And you say that you were growing up in West Canada, and that you did not have that, I guess, African-American experience here in the States with the gospel, but you were exposed to it.
I was exposed to it.
But I would never know. I mean, I would think you grew right up here in Georgia.
Well,
me.
Well, I lived in Tallahassee for a while, and I've lived in the United States more than half my life at this point. Yeah. So I am, quite. But my dad listened to Mahalia back in the day, right. So there was that. I mean, it wasn't like a wide variety of gospel singers, but that was certainly part of it. And we got exposed to. I mean, not that you'd think of Nina Simone as being a gospel singer, but some
right.
of these real fundamental icons of black music in the States. We were certainly exposed, and we knew the history and all that sort of stuff. So, that was part of it. But there was no Black Baptist church where I was. I mean, it would have been like
I would have thought
people.
You were right in the Black Baptist church.
I had, when I lived in New York, I played briefly in a storefront church, and that was an interesting experience because it was like someone would get up and start singing a tune, and maybe it's in the crack of the keys somewhere, and I gotta find why can't they sing? And that wasn't my background at all. Like, I didn't grow up doing that, so it was something that I maybe heard in a movie or something like that. Oh, this is what people do, and I'm like,
yeah.
This is not my comfort zone, but it's good. I think I've been exposed to so many different musical experiences, whether
yes.
it was playing in the pit of a musical or trying to do that, or a lot of more basic stuff that is more traditional for a classically trained pianist, because I always started off with the classical training. My grandmother went to the New England Conservatory, and she was a piano teacher in Bermuda, and then they would listen to Handel's Messiah every weekend or something. Like, there was a thing, like somehow classical music was in some way more sacred than secular music. And I'm like, did you read some of these people's backgrounds?
Yeah.
They weren't doing anything special. But, Handel and Bach and those sorts of people, that was something that, we heard. My mom loved classical music. And so that was a big part of my growing up. But then when rap became popular, we memorized the message and why can't I think of the one that was before? Rapper's Delight. We all memorized like the extended version of Rapper's Delight. That was our thing, was to connect with blackness, because we were in such a white environment. So,
right.
So Bob Marley, we skewed to the soca and the calypso, and reggae was, more the West Indian heritage, but we got a bit of everything, and we were defining ourselves as opposite to what was around us, because we were in such a small town that was so predominantly white. We were looking, searching for these connections to our roots and the universal roots of things, so